Hi, my name is SoHyun, and I'll present our study, Designing Chatbot Interactions for Expressive Writing in Mental Health. In social psychology, it has been studied that writing about one's traumatic experience for just about 15 to 20 minutes for 3 to 5 days can promote mental well-being. Pennebaker and his colleagues have studied the writing paradigm for decades. It is best understood that the very expressive nature of the writing, really letting go of one's feelings and thoughts about trauma, has both cathartic and meaning-making effect. However, expressive writing is usually self-administered, which is hard to sustain. Also, studies suggest that writing may have broader benefits if it is written for a reader. While social disclosure is an immediate response to an emotional event, people also fear losing face in social stigma. We believe chatbots can be a solution for two reasons. First, chatbots can provide a private space for social disclosure. Also, chatbot interactions can use psychotherapeutic techniques to prevent rumination. In this study, we aim to find what impact a chatbot may have on expressive writing. We ask, is writing with a chatbot different from the original writing activity? How do users engage in the writing and evaluate the bot's sociability? And finally, can talking further about the experience with a chatbot help with better interpretation of the past? For these questions, we hypothesize that chatbots will create a social experience for the writers, which will change their language and engagement in the activity, as well as coping with their past. To test the hypotheses, we created two different types of chats for the chatbot named Diarybot. We implemented Diarybot on a popular messenger app in Korea. In basic chat, users engage in expressive writing as it is, but with Diarybot. In responsive chat, there's a follow-up with Diarybot in addition to the writing. We designed 5 questions on psychotherapy research and the Japanese meditation technique Naikan. Here's a sample meta conversation for basic chat. When the user calls Diarybot, it begins the session. Upon user's continue request, Diarybot gives the prompt, which is the original writing instructions in a chat-friendly fashion. The user is then free to write, and that sums up the chat. Responsive chat repeats the same process, except that when the user writes, the bot does not end the conversation, but starts to ask some questions. Diarybot's 2 NLP modules work to extract 2 different sets of keywords from the user's writing. First, it computes a weighted rank of sentiments in the writing and gives up to 4 top-ranked words. Second, it uses a text rank algorithm to extract a single keyword that may reflect a kinship or social relationship in the writing. These keywords are inserted into placeholders in the follow-up question templates. In case Diarybot does not find any keyword, we design default questions too. Now let's look at the follow-up questions. At the bottom of the sample chat on the screen, the bot asks to reflect on the feelings. This question was intended to be the first one, as research indicates recognition of feelings precede any interpretation of a psychological event. Next, 3 questions follow. We use the Nikon questions as they suit the purpose and design of our study. In Nikon, the subject of meditation can be anyone or anything, and the primary purpose is to look inside of oneself very closely. Finally, the last question wraps up the conversation. Following Pennebaker's original writing setup, we designed a 4-day user study with 30 participants. We randomly assigned each participant to one of the 3 writing conditions, 2 chatbot conditions, and 1 baseline, which we set up in a Google document. In the Google document, we gave the same writing prompts given in Diarybot except for the bot greetings. We analyzed the data we collected from participant writings, surveys, and interviews. Surveys were taken pre- and post-writing each day and before and after the experiment, including 2 short well-being measures and writing questionnaires from previous research. We conducted post-hoc interviews with all participants, delving deeper into their experiences within each writing condition. While there was no significant differences in participant well-being scores, we found considerable differences in writing style, how participants characterized each chat experience, and potential benefits of writing with the bot. Analyzing the language in all writings, we found that in Diarybot conditions, participants used significantly more social language than the baseline condition, indicating that Diarybot was perceived as a conversational counterpart in the writing process. Next, we found an interesting difference between Diarybot's basic chat and responsive chat. In basic chat, participants reported significantly more ease and emotional expression compared to other conditions, as indicated by the plots on the left. However, it was only in responsive chat that Diarybot could be perceived socially acceptable. On the right, we report significant correlation and regression results for the social hypotheses tested in responsive chat. We conjecture that it is more about the actual conversational exchanges that participants could attribute a certain level of agency and intelligence to the bot. The key feature of responsive chat was that it could give dynamic prompts based on writings. However, due to the greedy design of the algorithm selecting the keyword, not all responsive chat participants could see it happen. Still, the follow-up questions were in general positively received by participants, as we will further in the interviews. In the interviews, participants were quite fond of using Diarybot for the purpose of expressive writing. It felt less like writing, but talking. Some basic chat participants wanted more interactions with the bot, though different kinds. Interactions with the bot in responsive chat were enjoyable to the participants, but soon enough, in the repeated writing sessions throughout the study, participants began testing the bot to figure out how it worked. Once they got used to the routine, they felt the initial excitement wane. With participants generally in favor of using the bot for expressive writing, responsive chat participants added more subjective benefits such as self-reflection and insights. Though the questions were not entirely subject to a new interpretation, they encouraged further thinking. So far, our findings reveal that chatbots can be a positive means of social disclosure for expressive writing. Now we ask, how can chatbots better help with social disclosure of emotions? First, they should provide a safe space for sharing emotional experiences. Our study participants were sensitive about the stories that they were about to share, and we put extra caution about explaining our safety and anonymity measures and collection of the data. We find it most important to keep the conversation space safe and secure as a private channel of disclosure, as telling stories, unlike writing, essentially foregoes the writer's right to keep it within herself. Also, how the bot engages in the conversation matters as well. Though basic chat participants were able to express themselves more easily in the chat, they still wanted more interaction with the bot. On the other hand, responsive chat participants did not want the interaction to be repeated or easily decoded. In line with many other studies, our finding confirms that the human-like quality of the bot matters and extends that the machine intelligence needs to address the changing context not only of the conversation but of the writing as well. Finally, our work highlights the design of chatbot interactions and its advantage to help with constructive storytelling. The follow-up questions were specifically designed to help with better interpretation based on psychotherapy research. As intended, participants took the questions for their own good, making new meanings and trying to resolve themselves for the better. With the advanced NLP technologies and AI, we envisage a future where an algorithmically designed chatbot intelligently addresses an expressive writing and guiding the writer to cope better. In conclusion, our work contributes to the design and implementation of a chatbot named Diarybot for expressive writing. In the user study with 30 participants, we found that Diarybot could mediate social disclosure and subjective benefits. For better social disclosure with the bot, we suggest safe writing space, more intricate bot intelligence, and carefully designed guidance in chat. More details of our study can be found in our paper. Please email any questions you have. We thank all of our co-authors and institutions that supported our work. Thank you.